I am here today to talk to you about the questions that you had in the group. And we did a little bit of a poll. If you answered that. If you didn't, please go back and scroll down and answer the poll. If you're having more trouble, you think, in your relationship with just having good flowing conversations versus having miscommunications on regular kind of everyday things. Most of you said it was the miscommunication, so let's talk a little bit about that. Miscommunications meaning your partner is misunderstanding you, you're misunderstanding your partner, you're both misunderstanding each other, and what that can do is lead to obviously frustration. It can lead to hurt feelings. It can lead to feeling like, are we ever on the same page? Do you even get me? How did we even get married? Or how are we even together? So this is extremely common. I hear this in my practice all the time. Obviously, it's one of the biggest things that I work on is miscommunications in relationships, right? So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create this group, because I wanted to help you guys. So let's talk a little bit about establishing some basis, right? I think that one of the biggest things for you to do that would be very helpful in laying some groundwork or understanding your partner better, and maybe for them understanding you better, is to go ahead and take the quiz, 5 Love Languages, the5lovelanguages.com. So if you go on there, it's completely free quiz. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but I do give this quiz to every one of my couples when we start out in their program, because this is a really good quick snapshot of what might be happening with communicating how we love each other, how we appreciate each other. And if these are really far off, it's like a big sign that, okay, we've got to do some work around understanding each other in the love languages. So it's not an exact science. It's not this amazing algorithm or anything that helps to totally evaluate your subconscious needs or anything like that, but it is good enough to get started. So let's talk a little bit about each of them, okay? So results, meaning it's going to give you 5 categories. It's going to give you words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. And it's going to give you a number score in each of those. So if you're at a words of affirmation and it's at a 12, and your next one, the next highest number is a 6, you know that for sure words of affirmation is your number. It's your love language. That's your thing, right? If you get some that are more 2 of them that are 7 and 2 of them are 6, and then the last one's 2 or something like that, well, then it's a little bit tougher because you kind of you're kind of bilingual or trilingual or quadruple lingual in the love languages. And so you have an advantage there because you can generally hear and speak other love languages pretty easily, but at the same time, it can be troublesome because you kind of need all of those given to you in the relationship as well in order for you to feel loved and appreciated. So that's just some side notes on how to interpret the numbers and the variances in your numbers, okay? So let's just talk about words of affirmation. It doesn't mean just lots of compliments and always telling them how great they are. That's not what words of affirmation is. Words of affirmation, it includes that, but words of affirmation is also things like, you know what, that was just amazing. I really appreciated that. You knew I was tired. You knew I had a busy day today, and you took the time to do that, and I really appreciate you doing that. It's expressions verbally to your partner, right? And this can come in the form of verbal, but it can also come in written form as well. So when you send little texts or little love notes, if you leave little post-it notes for them that say I love you or have a good day or something like that, that just means everything to them. So if your partner is words of affirmation, do some of these little things and see what a difference it might make for you. And let me know, actually comment below or come back on the page and let me know, or DM me and let me know. I really love to hear success stories about that. So if your partner is words of affirmation, I would say maybe get a post-it note and leave it on this a nice little encouraging, loving note on his steering wheel, so that when he gets out there in the morning, or he or she, because it's either one, right? When they get out there in the morning before they go to work and they see that, they'd be like, oh my gosh. Or I just hit my mic. I can't believe how great that was. You're gonna feel that little bit of oh, I am loved, I am valued, I am connected with my partner. So then the next one is acts of service. So acts of service is not bowing down to your partner. It's more of doing not everyday chores, although that is appreciated by somebody who has a high or primary level of love language of acts of service. When you do what you say you're going to do, that means a lot to your partner, a lot. So if you said, I'm gonna go get an oil change in your car next Friday, and then Saturday comes, Sunday, and it hasn't happened yet, that can actually make them feel like you don't love them. As silly as that sounds, it really could. So little things that being a person of your word and doing what you say you're going to do is really important, but also little things. So the things that are normally your chores are great to keep up on, right? So like things around the house that you say you're gonna do, or that's like kind of your responsibility to do, making sure you're doing that. But then you can go extra and you can do something that they normally do that's kind of like not something you've ever done. So let's just say you took their car to go fill it up with gas, or you went out and brushed their car off in the morning to get the snow off their car before they left for work. Something like that, something that's not normal for you to do and it's normally just them doing it. It means so much to them. So that's going to be really, really good to try that trick. Then physical touch. Physical touch is not just sex. Okay, everyone thinks, oh my gosh, physical touch means that they're so into sex, but it's not. Physical touch is literally just touching someone. So hugs, right? Kisses, just brushing against their back as you walk past makes the biggest difference ever. When you sit next to them, sit close enough that your legs are actually touching. Holding their hand in the car, reaching for their hand in the car. Little things like that are going to be really important to people who have a primary love language of physical touch. And then also, let's just say your words of affirmation and their physical touch, and you want to get across to them how much you appreciate something they've done. If you just touch their arm, like reach over and touch their arm or their leg and say, I really appreciate that you did that, they hear it so much better because physical touch is how it gets across to them. Quality time. If you are a quality time or your partner's a quality time, this one's getting really hard, like harder and harder every day to actually accomplish for couples because we have TV distractions, we have cell phone distractions, we have tablets, we have computers, we have work, we have kids. We're all this usually double income families, like we have all of these, like garbage has to go out and dishes have to get done and my friend needs me to call her back, my mom's being a pain, like we have so many things on our list to do every day that it's really hard to just take the time and find quality time for each other. I'm gonna do a special video on that also because I know that's a big one for you guys, is really being able to set aside time for each other, and I got some really good tips and tricks for you and being able to do that really quickly and easily too. Things like when the kids finally go to bed, just carve out 15 minutes. Like you can find 15 minutes to do anything. You can scroll on Facebook for 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes to just sit down and have, a glass of wine and put together a puzzle. I mean, something simple, like puzzles are really good for couples, especially for quality time, because you're like kind of using your left side of the brain to be thinking about where the puzzle pieces go, and then right side is your emotional side or your creativity side, and that leaves for some really good conversation and kind of just connecting, and the fact that you're doing something together as a couple means a lot to people with quality time as their primary. So, and then the last one is receiving gifts. A lot of people put this so low on their list because they don't want to seem like they're materialistic or something like that. But receiving gifts is not just about getting diamond rings every day, but it's also about little things. So this is kind of like when you go to the store and you pick up your partner's favorite ice cream, or something like that. That means a lot. I mean, that's an acts of service also, but it's a gift that you're buying for them. Or you see something out and about, like a pencil that has, a funny saying on it, and it reminds you of them, like you buy it for them, that means a lot. Or you overhear them talking about how they ran out of oil for their car. I don't know, just coming up with anything, right? And if you go pick that up when you're at the store, that's going to mean so much to them, right? So those little things for receiving gifts actually makes a big difference. And so most people are going to have like a 1 or 2, maybe a 3 as receiving gifts. That's what I see for the majority of people, but even those tiny things are going to be helpful. And so if you learn all of these language and you can touch on all of them in your relationship, it's a really good way to keep a nice, healthy, flowing of like love and compassion and appreciation and communicating with each other. When you establish that understanding that like we are loving each other, we're appreciating each other, and that's a known in your relationship, it becomes easier then to not have miscommunications. And it becomes easier to forgive each other and to think the best of each other and to give each other the benefit of the doubt when we are miscommunicating. So I highly recommend starting with the 5 love languages, seeing what they are. Let me know what they are. Post them below, post them in our group. I'd really love to hear it. I think it's fun to learn everybody's different ones. But I want you to kind of be aware too. When you get your partner's love languages back, and let's just say yours is words of affirmation is like 10, 11, right? And his physical touch is 10 or 11, but your physical touch is down at 4. And his words of affirmation is down at like 3. That's going to show you that it's a nice sign, even though it's probably chaotic to see that. It's a really good sign that, okay, we are just misunderstanding how each other loves and appreciates each other. So you might constantly be telling him you love him, but if you're not touching him at the same time, or you guys aren't being close at all, or there's no physical touch at all, or very little, it's not going to come across to him or her. So that's a really good indicator. And here's the news about that. You don't have to have your partner learn your love language for this to work, because what you can do is learn to hear your partner's love language and translate it effectively. So as long as, I mean, it's great if your partner can learn it. Oh my gosh, that's like doubly great, speeds along everything for you guys if you can both learn them, but it doesn't have to be that way. So when he walks up to you and he kind of like rubs your arm, your shoulders, right? Doesn't say anything to you, just kind of scrubs your little shoulders, right? That usually, like if his primary love language is physical touch and yours is words of affirmation, you can translate in your mind, oh, that means he's appreciating what I've done and he's like trying to let me know, or something like that, right? So you can translate it on your own. And just learning your partner's primary, knowing your own, can make a world of difference in helping you to kind of feed the bank of love, or feed each other's banks of love, and maintaining that over time is going to help, again, like I said, with any other miscommunications that might be happening along the way. So this is a really good place to start with this. So go ahead, take the quiz, let me know what your love language is, what your primaries are, what your numbers on each of them are. I think it's kind of fun and fascinating to learn each of those. And if you have any questions about the love languages, send me a DM or post it in the Facebook group. See you guys later.